doing? Welcome to the show. It's the Morning Night Live with me, that guy on the internet who is I'm awake. Got a lot to do today. But it's I'm glad it's here. It's hump day on the Morning Night Live. Happy Wednesday. And I realized this morning when I made the thumbnail for the show, I didn't realize. I should say I didn't realize. I didn't realize that I made a joke without intending to make a joke. Because and I'm wondering if I'm going to get in trouble for the joke. I just don't know. We'll find out. I'll see if anyone notices it besides me. Maybe you noticed it. If you saw the thumbnail this morning, and oh my gosh, did I get a chuckle out of it once I realized what I did. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Oh, and where's Berks County? Berks County what? Pennsylvania? Anyway. Happy Wednesday. We'll get into the show. Allow me to play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, Dawg Knight. Okay, you can stop that music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. Like I said, it's Wednesday, the 15th of December, 2021. You only have 9 shopping days left until the day of the birth of the Savior, and Santa and everything that goes along with that. But 9 more days. You got to get on it. If you put a 1 in the chat if you haven't started any kind of Christmas shopping. I just So there was a little dust up on the old Twitter thing yesterday, and it was humorous. It was quite humorous. It was funny. It was hilarious because Senator Elizabeth Warren decided to get into it with none other than Elon Musk. And is Elon Musk number 1 or number 2 right now? I can't remember. I can't remember if he and Jeff Bezos, whatever the owner of the Washington Post is, they kind of go back and forth between 1 and 2. But anyway, and it was hilarious. It was just hilarious. And I was thinking when I made my thumbnail this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, that was savage. And when I put the picture up there for the thumbnail, I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh, because if you see, it happens to have both Elon Musk and Elizabeth Warren. And, technically, they could both. Dare I say it? Oh my God. Except one is only 1 over 1,024th savage, but you know what I mean? I didn't mean to do that. And then I started the preview, the post, the whatever you call it, up to the show, and I cracked myself up. You know what I mean? Certainly that was not intentional, but it certainly worked out that way. By the way, I am broadcasting this show on Twitter Spaces at the same time that I'm showing it on YouTube. I don't know if anyone's going to show up over there. And if they do, I'm going to see why. At the end of the show, I'm going to see, hey, why did you show up over here? Out of curiosity. We'll find out if anyone shows up over there. But anyway, let's start the show. But before we do that, of course, you know me. I like to say good morning to the people in the YouTube chat. who got here bright and early. And there's almost 20 people already. That's good. So anyway, let's do that first. First in the chat today was our good friend Advocatus Diabli. Good morning and thank you for being here. Why was that so soft? Wow, that's all the way up too. Maybe the bell doesn't work as well. Could you hear the bell? That was weird. It didn't work very loud. Maybe it's because I'm on that. Because I'm gonna do a do not disturb here so I don't mess this up. That was weird. Normally that's a lot louder, but that's okay. Probably because I have YouTube. The Twitter Spaces thing going too. Anyway, also good morning to my favorite Canadian Jaeger pony, Baby Voss is in the house. Yo, also Colleen Bernay, the official Florida correspondent for the Morning Night Live. Good morning, Aaron Meredith. Also good morning, Gunfox61, our Discord server administrator. Good morning, Tyler F. Hello to Attack Alpaca, Jonathan Peterson, Maniac Man. Nice to have you back. Now competes with a VTuber for my attention. Who's VTuber? I'm not sure who VTuber is. Anyway, I guess I'll have to figure that one out. Also, it's in Pennsylvania. Okay. Thanks for that. And there's also a big old storm in Colorado right now that's closed down I-70. That's weird. Anyway, good morning, Tessa Cunningham. How you doing? Jen T's in the house. Hello. Stephanie's here. Good morning, Amy in Connecticut. Welcome back. Also, who else is here? Don Julio, Gulf City Biker and Trash Man. And Will Sinner. Good morning. Watching Elon and Warren fighting is like watching ladyboys go at it in Thailand. Well, I don't know about all that, but it is funny to me. I found great humor in it just because, just because it's just funny. So if you don't know what we're talking about, because you're not on the old Twitter machine, there's a couple articles about it. I mean, it made the rounds. It got on CNN. It's on New York Post. It's on the Daily Wire. It got around. But let's go with the let's do the this is CNN version of the little spat on here. Here we go. Senator Elizabeth Warren and Tesla CEO Elon Musk are in the middle of a full-scale Twitter war. Warren called the world's richest person. I guess, is he number one right now? A freeloader for paying zero in income taxes in recent years. Musk responded with a series of personal attacks. Well, now this is CNN, and this is how they're going to describe it, as personal attacks. You don't think that her chirping at Elon Musk is a personal attack? Anyway, Musk responded with a series of personal attacks, calling Warren Senator Karen, claiming his income bill is about to be the largest in U.S. history. He could be right, at least about his 2021 tax bill. Well, that's because he liquidated a bunch of what did he do? He liquidated a bunch of stock for over $1 billion. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty hefty bill. You're going to need more than one hefty bag to even take the tax burden off of that. Warren has long advocated for raising taxes on the wealthy by imposing a tax on the richest Americans' assets, which is the dumbest damn idea you can think of. Good morning, Spambot. I mean, that's a stupid idea. I got to tell you. Anyway, rather than just their income. After Musk was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year, Warren complained he should be paying more taxes. Well, I bet you should too, Senator Warren. There's nothing stopping you from paying more taxes. Feel free. Anyway, she's like, okay, so anyway, let's go. Do they have the actual tweets? Okay, let's do this right here. Let's just go here because this story actually has the actual tweets. So there she is. Let's change the rigged tax code so the person of the year will actually pay taxes and stop freeloading off everyone else because he doesn't really take an income. And he's selling he's selling a bunch of stuff, but we'll get to that in a minute. And he replied, stop projecting. And then Elizabeth Warren is a fraud. Her lies about being, this is from Fox, her lies about being Native American, yada, yada, yada. it's an old Fox News article about her being, faux Pocahontas. Not Pocahontas like Donald Trump says, but faux Pocahontas. Did somebody just jump into the space thingy? Not really. Anyway, so anyway, that's there's a lot more to it though. He also he included, after Stop Rejected, he says, you remind me of when I was a kid and my friend's angry mom would just randomly yell at everyone for no reason. Please don't call the manager on me, Senator Karen. Warren's tweet follows Musk's harsh criticism of the Biden administration's Build Back Better Act, the $1.75 trillion with a T legislation, which the House of Representatives has already approved, would expand various social programs, including universal preschool, child care subsidies, and climate change initiatives. Now, holy shit, this whole child care subsidies that they want to start giving to people with certain incomes, it's just going to push up the price of child care already, Oh, you were in the Twitter space for a moment before to watch. Well, thank you. Watch her here. Oh, okay. Thanks, Monkey. Good morning, Ranty Monkey. Good morning, Jeffrey Russell Jr. So anyway, and now let's see. I would say, can this bill? Don't pass it. That's my recommendation, argued Musk during the Wall Street Journal CEO Council Summit. If this bill happens or doesn't happen, we don't think about it at all, really. Honestly, it might be better if the bill doesn't pass. Musk continued his remarks by sharing an analysis from the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School explaining that the national debt would increase over 24% if the bill's provisions were made permanent. There is a lot of accounting trickery in this bill that isn't being disclosed to the public, he added, noting that the $1.75 trillion with a T dollar price tag is deceptively low due to the arbitrary expiration of several programs, which that any government program, there's no such thing as a government program that actually expires. Let's be real. Good morning, Random American, by the way. During the CEO Council Summit, Musk had other strong words for proponents of big government. It does not make sense to take the job of capital allocation away from people who have demonstrated great skill in capital allocation and given it to an entity that has demonstrated very poor skills in capital allocation, which is government. He said government is simply the biggest corporation with a monopoly on violence and an entity that produces absolutely nothing but debt. Anyway, so, but like I said, this little spat made it to the New York Post. It made it to all sorts of news outlets who are just, some are laughing and some, like this is CNN, call it a series of personal attacks. So anyway, let's talk about why Musk will pay so much in taxes, though, which is in the CNN article. And it says he will pay at least $7.6 billion with the B dollars in taxes this year, but Musk will face a huge tax bill. This bill, a fact he pointed out in another Twitter response to Warren, quote, and if you opened your eyes for 2 seconds, you would realize I will pay more taxes than any American in history this year, he tweeted. Musk has been exercising stock options he was granted as his compensation in 2012, options that vested as Tesla hit some prearranged financial and operational targets over the following 6 years. Those options are due to expire this year. If he does not exercise them by August, he will lose them. Although Musk hasn't paid taxes on their value so far, he will have to pay up soon, and the tax bill will be substantial. That's because once he does exercise those options, the values of the shares he acquired, less the very nominal exercise price of $6.24 a share, counts as income. And his bill on those shares will be at the top federal income tax rate of 37% plus another 3.8% net investment tax on top of that, along with some undetermined level of state income tax. Now, I never turned that off, did I? I should put that back on. Thank you, GunFox61, first sponsor of the show today. And GunFox61.
You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Yes, that is very quiet, but thank you for sponsoring the show. Who says, Bill back better at programming young girls to give themselves to the Democrat elites, both teachers, unions, and the elites. I am not going to comment on that because Ms. Maxwell's trial is still going on. But thank you for sponsoring the show. I appreciate that, GunFox61. So Musk could have waited till next year to exercise these options, but if Democrats are able to pass the Build Back Better bill, it could raise his federal tax bill significantly. Although passage of the bill is by no means certain, it would raise the tax bite on that kind of trades Musk made, perhaps by 8 percentage points above what he now pays. That's probably why he's been exercising the options earlier than he needed to. So far, Musk has exercised nearly 15 million of the 22.9 million options that were due to expire. And the value of those newly acquired shares was roughly 15.8 billion with a B dollars, meaning he faces a federal tax bill of $6.4 billion. He has sold 6.5 million of those newly acquired shares to pay the withholding due on the exercise of the options, according to the filings he made with the Securities and Exchange Commission about his stock trades. He's been exercising options and selling shares every week since early November, and he will probably exercise at least another 4 million options, if not more, before the end of the year. That could raise his 2020 tax bill by nearly $2 billion. So in other words, he's paid a lot of damn taxes this year, no matter what. Last month, Musk also sold 5.4 million shares he had held in trust, most of which he has held since the 2010 public offering. Those shares will be taxed at a lower long-term capital gain rate of 20%. He'll also face additional federal tax bill of about $1.2 billion more on those shares. So his federal tax bill to date for 2021 stands at $7.6 billion, with a chance it could rise to nearly $10 billion or more by year's end. And what exactly does the government do with that kind of money? Well, it's already spent. Never mind. It's a silly question. Now, this proposed or whatever wealth tax, or the wealth tax they want to talk about, which is a stupid idea. I'll tell you in a second. If it passes, Musk's net worth is mostly from his holdings in Tesla, although the value of his holdings in his other company, privately held SpaceX, is also significant. Over the years, both companies benefited significantly from U.S. taxpayer support. Oh, he owes the taxpayers. With Tesla receiving at least $6 billion from various tax credits on its electric vehicles, and SpaceX signing government contracts worth about $10 billion. Well, that's not. Oh my God. See how they do it. See how dirty they are. See how dirty they are. So he has government contracts for doing stuff. So they're paying him to do stuff. It's not like they're just giving him money. And the $6 billion from various tax credits on his electric vehicles. Did you expect these companies making the electric cars not to take the subsidies that you're giving them? I'm sorry, he's just smart enough to take them, right? Anyway, Warren proposed wealth tax legislation earlier this year that would impose a 2% tax on the net worth of individuals in trust worth more than $50 million and less than $1 billion, and 3% on those holdings of $1 billion or more. Which is a dumb idea. Musk, as the richest person, might face a tax bill of $7.5 billion if that proposed bill were to pass, even if he didn't trade any stocks next year, given the current value of his holdings. And Tesla shares have risen more than any other in the last 2 years, meaning he could pay even more if it continues to gain in value. But that legislation so far has not come near to passing, and nor should it. Now, imagine this, though. So here's a scenario for you. So in a year, if they had a wealth tax, right? They're based it on your wealth, right? And they're going to somehow require you, like they did with his as the options he's been exercising, that he had to liquidate funds to pay withholding on that wealth tax. So let's say he did that in the year. Let's say it was similar this year. So over the course of the year, he pays, say, $7.5 billion by liquidating a bunch of his assets and paying that, portion of his tax. But come December, let's say December 25th, let's say the day before Christmas, December 24th, okay? December 24th, the year that he's paying all these withholdings, all of a sudden, his stock price crashes and his net worth is down 70%. So he goes from 100, 200, whatever billion dollars he's worth. Let's use round numbers. He goes from $200 billion, okay, in net worth to, let's do the math, $60 billion, right? But he's already paid the withholdings on that so-called wealth tax that he estimated. So imagine, and I would find it hilarious that Elon Musk might get a tax refund of roughly, let's say $4 billion from the U.S. government. That would be hilarious, because when because they don't, your net worth is not like your income. It's not like you have, $200 billion in the bank. It's just, it's the value of your company. That goes up and down. It's not like it's income. But I laugh because I laughed at some of the people talking about this on Twitter who are acting like that's it. Well, he has $200 billion. He can just pay this and that and blah, 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 blah. No, he doesn't. It's a dumb idea. Let's just stick with the idea that's a dumb idea, and it just is. Sorry, it's just like, okay, this is a government bureaucratic hack, Elizabeth Warren, who is learning that, and this is probably why there are countries we might have a downfall. Okay, let's just say that. Because we have people who are figuring out that if they're politicians, they can just take other people's money at will. It kind of seems like it, doesn't it? Doesn't it seem like she just says, well, you know what? We think we should have this money. You didn't earn this money. You didn't provide anything for this money, even though he has, right now the most successful electric car company in the world. Doesn't matter. He's not doing anything. He's just hoarding that money, and that money should be ours. We should be able to take money from you anytime we want to. That's kind of how they are. And that's, it's just a terrible idea. Anyway, they won't tax the rich. It includes the politicians then, and we know they don't do anything, so they pass. So it will be on the poor and the middle class. Well, here's, they always have this thing about paying your fair share. Well, if your fair share would be the same percentage that everyone else pays, but they want them to pay a whole lot more because they can. Oh God, shut up. It's annoying. Anyway, it will be based on the highest point. They will not take any drop into consideration that occurs by someone trying to liquidate to pay the actual bill. They aren't so dumb to allow that. Well, here's the other thing too. So you got someone, let's say it's someone who's, I don't know, whatever in the billions. And because their net worth is based on stock in their company, and that's really their only major asset is stock in their own company, because they built a really super successful company. They didn't necessarily whether they diversified or not, it doesn't really matter. Don't you think that somebody who has to sell a whole bunch of stock in their own company in order to liquidate funds to pay taxes, wouldn't you, someone just suddenly starting to sell a bunch of their company off, wouldn't that maybe cause other people to sell off? Because, the owner, the biggest holder in this company started to sell off their shares. Wonder what's going on. Couldn't that just cause a major sell-off, and then now the worth of their company would go down too? I mean, it just didn't matter. Marty, by the way, the electric cars are not selling all that well in the U.S., but in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, they sell very well, but most areas except China, only allow cars built in the USA. Yeah, this whole electric car thing. I think we're too much of a car culture for that. I'm still hoping they figure out cars with hydrogen, because the thing is, the electric cars are so expensive, not just to buy, but the maintenance over the life of the vehicles is I think far higher than a traditionally fueled powered car. And isn't it? I can't remember where I read it, but I think their carbon footprint is also higher. Plus the fact that you have to mine all this nickel for batteries that they're not going to have enough of. Plus you got the rolling blackouts in California, and basically you're just driving a coal powered car that is probably in the long run worse for the environment than your typical, internal combustion engine. It's crazy. It's crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy. Powered by electricity. If there's not a rolling blackout in California. I'm just saying. Let's see. Is anyone over on Spaces? I don't even know. No, nobody's on Spaces. It's just fine. I'm going to start using that. So I just got to get used to being able to put both of these on my phone at the same time. I'm going to have to get a different soundboard phone, though, and put it on a different channel here, because then I can run both at the same time. I have old phones. Actually, I think I might need a new phone anyway. So who knows? Maybe I'll have two phones sitting here, one for Spaces and one for my soundboard. But anyway. All right, let's move on, because I've got quite a few articles open today, and it's mostly it's some hodgepodge stuff. No theme today, other than I found. That thumbnail, when I made that, it didn't click, because Elon Musk is savage, and Elizabeth Warren has been saying that for a long time. Anyway, all right, let's a couple things. So I was perusing the Twitter machine. I bookmarked something here that was fascinating. So we were talking about that. We're talking about the January 6th committee, right? And I just caught this morning, or it's from last night though. Apparently breaking. They added a little heads up on this too. Breaking. This is AG Carl Racine, who is the DC Attorney General for the District of Columbia. He's the Attorney General for the District of Columbia, right? Haitian immigrant, Washington since age 3, standing up for every district resident every day. That's his how he described himself on Twitter. Well, he says, breaking. I am suing the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, the first civil lawsuit by a government entity against the January 6th insurrectionists. They caused extensive damage to the district, our democracy, and particularly the brave men and women of our Metropolitan Police Department. Now, this is fascinating. And then he adds to that, today we're holding these insurrectionists accountable for conspiring to terrorize the district by planning, promoting, and participating in the deadly attack on the Capitol. I'm seeking damages in this case and will keep working to ensure such an assault never happens again. Really now? Now, this is fascinating to me, and I there's no articles on this. I just have a couple thoughts on this. So he's suing the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, right? Oh, we're not a democracy. Well, first of all, I'm trying to figure out exactly. He says, so see, again, let me read that sentence. He says they caused extensive damage to the district, our democracy, and particularly the brave women and women in our police department, right? Exactly how did the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers do that? And what evidence does he have that they did that? Because those people were over at the rally protecting Trump supporters, and that's what they were there for. First of all, there was no insurrection. Okay, there was a riot at the Capitol, and they weren't really part of it. The leader of the Proud Boys wasn't even there because, well, they picked him up on the way into town. The Oath Keeper guys, is there any evidence they were the people in the first? Oh, wait, the other part too. Extensive damage to the district. Now that's fascinating. Now, I knew there was some damage to the Capitol building by the people who were riding there, but what damage, extensive damage, did they do to the district? It's not like there was rioting all over the city. There was a riot in a specific place, and that's it, in the Capitol building. That's not really the district. That's not even the purview of the District of Columbia AG. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the purview of the federal government, right? The Capitol building itself. Because this is the Attorney General of the District of Columbia. You know, basically Washington, D.C., the city. That's it. Not the Capitol, okay? Then the other part, extensive damage to, quote, our democracy. Well, how so? What damage? Even if, let's say the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers were the ones who were rioting, which there's no evidence of that because they've already picked up the people who were, you know, they've arrested a bunch of people, and I don't know that any of them had any Oath Keeper or Proud Boy affiliations, right? At least not that if let's put it this way, if they had, we would already know it by now, right? Because that would be 24/7 in the news. Every time you heard the word insurrection, you'd hear Proud Boy or Oath Keeper, or whenever they would talk about one of the defendants, the words Proud Boy or Oath Keeper would be behind their name. That hasn't happened. So obviously there are none that we know of yet. Okay? But what damage, because people keep saying this, to our democracy, to damage to our, what damage? Okay. Was there a peaceful transfer of power on January 20th, 2020? Yep. Were there still elections in 2021, at various states? Yes. Are we still having an election next year for the midterms? Yes. Did we, did all the votes eventually get counted and blah, 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 and they, whatever they said happened, right? Yes. What damage has been done to our democracy? I do not know. They haven't made a convincing argument there has been any. And then, particularly our brave men and women of our Metropolitan Police Department. Now, yes, there was people fighting the police department. The one officer had a stroke after a day or after this event, and very sadly, some officers have committed suicide since then. Now, we don't know if it had anything to do with January 6th, but everyone seems to try to make that correlation, right? There were some injuries, whatnot. Now, there seems to be a little dispute about that, though, because as Julie Kelly from the American Greatness has been reporting, here's her tweet referring to this. Yup. The white knighting of DC Metro cops in full force. They know video footage and court testimony will reveal their abusive and perhaps lethal conduct on January 6th. Yeah, you're not hearing a whole lot about that, but we read what she's writing about it. We've read what various views of media have been writing about it, but she's been all over this, and she's been part of the reason they're not. She claims that part of the reason they're not releasing some of the footage is because it shows that Metro Police started the violence. Now, I would still say, even if Metro Police started the violence, I think it would have been prudent for the people there not to riot and maybe back away from wherever they were going, but whatever. But anyway, she continues, part of the cover-up strategy is to portray DC cops as victims rather than perpetrators of the violence. Interesting. I don't have an opinion one way or other until I start seeing trials and evidence, and so we'll find that out eventually, right? Except they're really kind of not. They don't want you to hear a whole lot about these trials. It's a fascinating thing. Anyway, real quick, thank you, GunFox61, for another donation, and you are still the Streamlabs Superstar Donor of the Day, who says, well, I don't have a delicate way to say that, but here we go. Well, there's another one, too. Real quick, Gunfox says, fuck commies, purge the heretics, and put the pedos to the lava pits. FTG to that commie bastard. Also, the FBI informants were egging that riot on. That is definitely a theory, and I'm not even gonna disavow that one because most of it is spot on, and we'll see if the FBI informants had anything to do with this. I can't imagine they would, even though the person who was in charge of the operation kidnapped what's her name, Whitler, over in Michigan, had something to do with this particular this scene also. But anyway, thank you, GunFox61, and thank you, GunFox61 again, who says, what about that piece of shit flat-footed so-called cop who murdered the veteran for no fucking reason? Marty, those cops that Minecrafted themselves were removed because they knew too much. Oh yeah, forgot the tinfoil hat warning, LOL. Well, there you go. And I don't even have my bell ready. Here, let me ding that bell real quick. Even though you're barely going to hear it, it's there, I promise. Kind of, you can hear it. Okay, anyway. Thank you, GunFox61. You're a great American. By the way, if you want to sponsor the show, you can go to PDawgKnight.live. It's somewhere. It's down there somewhere. PDawgKnight.live. You can do it there through Streamlabs, or you can do YouTube Super Chats if you don't mind giving Susan 30% of your money. And there's a couple other options in the description down below. Thank you for sponsoring the show, GunFox61. Okay. So anyway, I found this fascinating that they are doing this. Now, let's read her thread real quick, and then we're going to go back to, because we read his. So, she says part of the cover-up strategy is to portray DC cops as victims rather than perpetrators of the violence, which is why, get this, Department of Justice wants to hide the names of officers involved in the attacks. Prosecutors told the court all of these cops deserve anonymity under Crime Victims Act. Can't make it up. So I'll have that story open in American Greatest. We're not going to read that one today. And then continuing, quote, as these officers now or in the future may qualify as victims under the Crime Victims' Rights Act, you have the right to be reasonably protected from the accused and the right to be treated with fairness and with respect of the victim's dignity and privacy. LOL. Okay, for sure. Now, it's funny because, see, they've made such a big deal out of this, calling it an insurrection and invoking the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. You know, they're so dangerous. Oops, wait, wrong one. We're going to do this one. The Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, right? And so this guy right here, are you seriously giving the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys a pass? You know that these people, the propaganda on this has been amazing, right? The propaganda about this has been incredible, especially when it comes to the Proud Boys, right? So, I mean, you think about when Joe Biden brought up the Proud Boys in the debates. You know, they're talking about white supremacists, Proud Boys. The Proud Boys, first of all, are not a white supremacist group. I know a lot of people want to say they are, but they're not. I've watched the evolution of that group from the very beginning, and they developed out of the political violence from the left. And Gavin McInnes had this joke about making this group called the Proud Boys, but they were out. The only reason that group became a thing is because of so many people who were getting beat up at college speeches, Trump rallies, all these different things. And so the Proud Boys kind of grew out of as a counter to Antifa, right? Not as a political group, not as white nationalists, not as nationalists, not as what's the other thing? Not as white supremacists. They're in fact, the Proud Boys, there are probably more minorities in the Proud Boys than there are in Antifa. Antifa is a bunch of white people. The Proud Boys are multicultural, probably more multicultural than Antifa entity. But the propaganda has turned them into some white supremacist groups. Same with the Oath Keepers. The Oath Keepers are not a white supremacist group. They're not a terrorist group. They're not a white nationalist group. Oath Keepers are mostly former first responders, who again usually are people who, well, they do a lot of different things. You can look them up. Go look them up on the internet. There's an official Oath Keeper site. Nothing to do with white supremacy whatsoever. But that's the myth, right? Real quick, thank you, tall person with a 10 spot. Oh, goodness gracious, thank you, sir. Who says, "Good morning, happy National Cupcake Day and happy National Lemon Cupcake Day." Well, that's a twofer that I can support. National Cupcake Day and happy National Lemon Cupcake Day. So there you go. All right, let's keep going here. But yeah, but there's this myth among the left that the Proud Boys. Excuse me, I got to do this right. The Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers are these bad white supremacist groups. You know what I mean? And it's almost a little silly. It's almost a little silly. Let's see I want to see replies to this. Oh, and this one says, "You're giving killer cops a pass." Yeah, there's still a debate about whether or not that officer who killed Ashley Babbitt was trending yesterday. We talked about that, and whether or not it was justified in killing Ashley Babbitt. Now, that's a tough one because yes, she was going into a restricted area, but she certainly was unarmed. He certainly was not in imminent danger. There was, it's really hard to. That's a tough one. Good morning, Tyre Alexander. How you doing? All right. So anyway, that's. Oh, and also, by the way, did I even go into the article? No, I didn't. Oh no, we haven't. I was talking about that. Well, so yesterday we read the Daily Beast article about the text messages that Mark Meadows and several other people, Donald Trump Jr. and some Fox News hosts and things like that, and something that didn't click in my mind until I saw this today. Liz Cheney, Daily Beast, tout bombshell text, right? Bombshell text that actually proved there was no insurrection. And I don't know why this didn't even click in my mind yesterday, but yeah. Yeah. So here it goes. The leftist political and media establishment now takes for granted that on January 6th, Donald Trump attempted a coup with his His slavish minions storming the Capitol and threatening the very survival of our free institutions. The only thing they haven't been able to do is prove it. Hello, Ryan R. Even with a vindictive round of impeachment proceedings conducted after Trump left office and an endless round of somnambulant January 6th insurrection hearings in a House committee, not to be confused with our own somnambule nation. We love you, somnambule nation. So it's understandable that the far-left propaganda organ, the Daily Beast, was thrilled Monday when Representative Liz Cheney, Republican in Never Trump, Wyoming, revealed numerous texts to send to Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows on January 6th, begging Trump to tell the people who had entered the Capitol to desist. They got him now, right? After years of the Russian collusion hoax and Stalinist show trial impeachment proceedings, they finally got him. Got him! Not. Well, no. In fact, the text Cheney revealed proved definitively that there was no January 6th insurrection after all. Real quick. Thank you, Cryptic, with the bullet saying, just been up. Okay. Prepare yourself, everybody. Prepare yourself for this one. I'm preparing myself right now, even with this really quiet soundboard. Let's see, right there. Just been up in the attic getting the Christmas tree down, and I found a present from last year, which we must have forgotten to give the kids. Shame, really. They would have loved a kitten. Oh. Oh my. Oh my.
Wow.
Thank you, Cryptic. I'm gonna go straight to hell for even reading that. Anyway, the Daily Beast gives Cheney revelations the biggest possible buildup. A bombshell dropped on Monday night's January 6th committee hearing when it was revealed that Donald Trump Jr., along with Fox News stars Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, begged the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows to get the president to make a national address and halt the Capitol riot. The unspoken corollary is that Trump paid no heed to these appeals from some of his most fervent supporters because he secretly, or not so secretly, supported the insurrection. At first glance, it does look damning. Donald Trump Jr. texted Meadows, he's got to condemn this shit ASAP. The Capitol Police tweet is not enough. And then, we need an Oval Office address. He has to lead now. It has gone too far and gotten out of hand. Hannity texted the same vein. Can he make a statement? Can ask people to leave the Capitol? Ingram wrote, Mark, the president needs to tell people in the Capitol to go home. This is hurting all of us. He's destroying his legacy. Fox friends Brian Kilmeade chimed in. Please get him on TV, destroying everything he's accomplished. The Daily Beast has not bothered to inform its unfortunate readers that Trump, far from orchestrating an insurrection, actually heeded these calls and issued a video statement just after 4 p.m. And that's the I know your pain, I know your hurt statement. We've all seen that. This statement, but however, the statement he made, because he said, we love you, you're very special, you've seen what that happens, you see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil, I know how you feel, but go home and go in peace. So that statement not only enraged the left, because in it, Trump continued to charge that the election was stolen, which the establishment media insists is a false claim. But Trump's statement is also an unequivocal in telling people at the Capitol on January 6th to disperse peacefully. That's hardly what one would expect from a leader of an insurrection. What's more, it strains credulity that Trump would have been planning an insurrection on January 6th, but that his son, one of his closest confidants, would not have known about it. And that would have caught his top supporters in the media completely by surprise. So anyway, you can read the rest of this one. It'll be in the tab below. But yeah, it doesn't make sense that it was an insurrection. Because it wasn't, you dumb fucks. You're missing their flawless logic on this one. The fact that people on his side were telling him to stop the people And the fact that he didn't is proof that he planned it all. Yeah, isn't it though? It's perfect. Thank you, Efficacious Diabli. So anyway, also about that, whoops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Adam Schiff uses the text messages that disprove the insurrection to try to shore up sagging insurrection narrative. Yes, Pencil Neck himself appeared on Tuesday's MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell Reports. Trying to shore up the Democrats' sagging, kind of like Andrea Mitchell's skin, insurrection narrative. God, I'm terrible. What's with me today? I'm not usually like this, am I? Do you like that? Am I? No one has been charged with insurrection. No one was armed. Only one person, the only person killed on the scene was a Trump supporter. A couple people died of heart attacks, though. And Trump himself called for a peaceful protest, but the facts have never mattered to the left, driven mad with hatred for the man whose continued popularity threatens their hold on not just on the three branches of government, but on the popular culture as well. According to Breitbart, Mitchell asked Schiff, Pencil Neck himself, what impact do you think of Don Jr.? What is the impact do you think of Don Jr.? Publicly, he was saying one thing and denying the severity of the insurrection, while privately he was pleading with Mark Meadows. Does it, first of all, suggest that they were aware that Donald Trump alone could have stopped the violence by asking him to do something about it? Mitchell was referring from the text from Donald Jr., which we just read, so I'm not going to say it again. To Schiff, this is a veritable smoking gun that will enable him at last to drive his harpoon into his white whale, Trump. It says so much, Schiff answered Mitchell excitedly. The few text messages say so much. They tell us that these people understood the seriousness of this attack. They understood that the president was uniquely situated to try to stop it, and he wasn't stopping it. It was going on for hours. But it also just calls out the blatant hypocrisy where they are now trying to downplay these events. But when you look at what they were saying in real time, you see just how serious they understood this attack to be. You know, yeah, come on. Schiff added, so the hypocrisy of this particular, the hypocrisy of it in particular just smacks you in the face to see what Don Jr. was saying now and to see what Don Jr. was saying then. Well, yeah, duh. God. Anyone who actually reads what Donald Trump Jr. wrote, however, will not see any of what Schiff claims to see in his text. Donald Trump Jr. said that the president should speak out against people entering the Capitol and call on them to disperse. And Trump did so. But the fact that Donald Trump Jr. wrote that it has gone too far and gotten out of hand makes it clear that there was no planned insurrection, no attempted coup, contrary to the left's incessant and hysterical propaganda for nearly a year now. This was a peaceful protest that indeed got out of hand, and Trump duly spoke out. So anyway, more details if you read it. Moving on. This one is just a bonus thing that'll be in the tab. If you want to read it, you can read it. But this is a pretty good compilation, a compendium of hate crime hoaxes. Jussie Smollett's was just the tip of the iceberg. So this article, Issues and Insights, documents. Now, of course, there's a website that does this too. I think it's called Hate Hoax. Something Hate Hoax. It's on the internet. Anyway, but this is a great article. It has multiple hate crime hoaxes that were discovered, and although they didn't do the one at the University of St. Thomas where my son went, I don't think they ever decided that was actually a hate crime hoax, even though I knew it was a hoax from the very moment someone mentioned Trump shirts. But anyway, so if you want to see this, there's several of them. A couple just to give you an idea what's on here. At Emory University, a black employee vandalized vending machines and wrote racist graffitis and swastikas before being discovered. The university did not disclose the race of the employee. A black woman pretended pretended to be a 6-foot-tall white Klansman and sent death threats to her neighbors. A black student at East Carolina University posted a racist invitation to a fraternity party that read, "No blacks." It was fake. Racist graffiti was found at Parkway Central High School in Chesterfield, Missouri. It was time for a collective whining and temper tantrum. And when it was found that a black student had written it, the superintendent said that the culprit's race did not diminish the hurt it caused or the negative impact it had on the entire community. 4 years previously, an identical incident occurred at the same school. So there's a whole bunch of these, and they're all documented with links to the different hoaxes. So if you ever want to do a compendium of hate crime hoaxes, there you go. Real quick. Thank you, Gunfox61, for continuously sponsoring the show, who says, Marty, I think they should let me ask a few questions to a number of people, the FBI, DC police, and the Congress members. I'm sure I can find enough information on January 6th to hold them for treasonous actions. I can get them to talk, or at least they get the axe. I'm assuming in that message you sent me, Gunfox, that you use axe in 2 completely different contexts. I'm just saying. Thank you, Gunfox61, for sponsoring the show again. All right, moving on. I gotta get through this. I got stuff to do. Biden on Americans concerned about vaccine mandates violating personal liberty. What's the big deal? This is great. Good old Joe Biden. He just doesn't get it, does he? On Tuesday, President Biden downplayed concerns that many Americans have about his vaccine mandates going too far and encroaching on their individual freedoms. Your vaccine mandates have suffered some setbacks in court recently, WHIO-TV 7 reporter John Bedell said. Federal judges have halted 3 of those COVID vaccine mandates. Are you going to back down, or are you going to continue to fight those in court? Bedell said. Here, let's just listen to him here.
So everybody talks about freedom and not to have a shot or have a test. Well, guess what? So how about patriotism? How about making sure that you're vaccinated so you do not spread the disease to anybody else? What about that?
Be patriotic.
What's the big deal?
What's the big deal? What's the big deal? Well, you know. By the way, good morning, legit low talker. Immediately following the release of Biden's vaccine mandate, the Daily Wire was the first major company to file a lawsuit against the Biden administration, as the company noted in a report last month. The lawsuit does not take a position on whether someone should receive the vaccine or not, only against Biden's mandate. Announced earlier this year and unveiled on Thursday morning, the mandate applies to all companies with 100 or more employees and forces those businesses to police the vaccine status of their employees. The Daily Wire, with over 100 employees, falls under the mandate. The Daily Wire's lawsuit seeks to overturn Biden's executive action, arguing that the order is unconstitutional and that the Biden administration violated federal law in drafting it. Jeremy Boring, co-founder and CEO of the Daily Wire, explained the company's decision, saying, "We are not in the enforcement arm of the federal government." I know that bell's really soft, but you know, it is what it is. Oh, I gotta keep checking. I doubt if anyone's listening over there, but oh, hey, Simius, I see you there. How you doing? Welcome to the Spaces version of the Morning Night Live. I'm gonna keep going here real quick. Thank you, Gunfox61, who says, hate crimes are as numerous as rape crimes, 99% fake, and yet they still destroy the true victims' lives, and the real criminals walk away free to do it again. Well, we've had a development in that area, Gunfox. By the way, thank you for sponsoring the show again. You continue to be the superstar sponsor of the day. We do have a new case study in hate crime prevention, and his name is Jesse Smollett. I really hope he gets at least some time in jail for that shit. You know, a lot of people say, oh, they should have the same sentence that the hate crime would have had for the person if it was real. But anyway, Neil Gorsuch, Supreme Court Justice, appointed by the president with the funny hair, blast the the replacement governor for Governor Wandering Hands and Granny Killer, but the Supreme Court still turns down a religious challenge to the vaccine mandate. Justice Neil Gorsuch blasted New York Governor Kathy Hochul for disparaging religious believers after the Supreme Court on Monday turned down a challenge to the state's vaccine mandate for healthcare workers. Catholic physicians sued the governor after she refused to include a faith-based exemption for her mandate. The Gorsuch was one of the 3 justices who dissented from the court's refusal to block New York's mandate. In his opinion, Gorsuch lambasted statements Hochul made to writing the religious dissenters shortly before the mandate took effect in September. Sometimes dissenting religious beliefs can seem strange and bewildering. In times of crisis, this puzzlement can evolve into fear and anger, Gorsuch wrote. It seems Governor Hochul's thinking has followed this trajectory, and I suspect she is far from alone. Gorsuch's criticism comes as Hochul is under fire for an indoor mask mandate she has imposed on Friday. Officials in several upstate counties have said they will defy her directive, as has the incoming county executive for Long Island's Nassau County. In an apparent about-face, the governor told reporters on Monday that she will not force local officials to comply with the order. Well, that's the point of the order then. Anyway, but still, the court did not. Of course, it was the court did not. They turned down the challenge to the mandate. So still, but at least some of the local people there are fighting it, and now she's kind of backing off. But still, I don't even know what that meant. Let's just go on. By the way, good morning, Special Can Acid. How you doing? Also, someone else showed up. T-Ball, what's happening? Now okay, I'm going to put this article in. I don't know if I should even read it on YouTube, but you can see the title if you're watching on YouTube. A Virginia woman is beginning treatment for the stupid 19 that has a human use, although, let's see, how can I say this delicately? Some stupid people think that it has something to do with equine healthcare, but this is a human version, and she's going on a protocol using that stuff that isn't for equine healthcare. And because there was a legal battle for her to try this particular treatment that is not used for equine healthcare, but for human healthcare, and got a Nobel Prize for its human healthcare uses. And she's using that treatment because she won in court, and apparently the hospital has been found in contempt of court. And so now they're going to let her try these treatments to help her with her stupid 19. And if you want a less cryptic, not like cryptic, our friend Cryptic who tells funny jokes, but less cryptic as in how I'm describing this version of the story, it will be in the link in the description down below at the end of the show. But you can see the headline if you're watching on YouTube. Capiche? Okay. Oh, and apparently, we're having a reality check on the Omicron variant, because the Omicron variant, it spreads rapidly, but does not cause people to die. But they're still, are they just going whole hog on trying to, like Gavin Newsom put new mask mandates in California because the Omicron variant is scary, and they say it loud enough, it makes you really scared, right? So, good night, Gun Fox. Get some sleep, and hopefully I hope things are going at work. So, see you, brother. I spent the past week in a more urban area that was shocked. I come from a semi-rural conservative area, and as Rick Moran wrote on Tuesday, stupid 19 hype scarcely exists. But in liberal land, masks, panic, and unnecessary mandates abound. Oh gosh, this will make a lot of people very angry, but I think it's important to realize this perspective is very much one that many people have. I didn't show here. Oh, because of the stupid Atlantic article. Speaking of neurotic goons, the New York Times claimed Tuesday that Omicron is a dress rehearsal for the next pandemic. The next pandemic? The great lady neglects to mention that the best and most important news on Omicron is that it's killed almost nobody. The worst, there are about 4,700 confirmed cases of the Omicron variant in the United Kingdom, which has a socialist healthcare system. Omicron is now responsible for nearly half of the cases in London, a crowded left-wing locale, and will likely become the dominant variant in the capital later this week. South African scientists announced the discovery of the Omicron variant on November 25th. Since then, the country has had 230,000 stupid 19 cases, but fewer than 400 deaths, none resulting from Omicron. So death is minimal. The study by South Africa's largest health insurer of 211,000 positive coronavirus cases, of which 78,000 were attributed to Omicron, showed that the risk of the hospital admission among adults was 30% lower than during the initial pandemic wave 21 months ago. Omicron will spread fast, including in the U.S., but it's mostly mild. Other good news is that Omicron hasn't yet triggered a massive rush to America's hospitals. Now, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, about 3/4 of the country hospital beds are being used, which is about the same rate as a month ago. But I thought they were saying the hospitals are at their brink. Anyway, just over 8% of hospital beds are being used by stupid 19 patients, when a month ago that figure was 7%. The percentage of the country's ICU beds in use by stupid 19 patients has increased, but only by 3%. Hospitalizations are much better indicator than cases. More great wisdom from Monica Gandhi, who says on the CADPH putting back indoor mask mandates today for the whole state instead of allowing a regional response per vaccinations and hospitalization rates. Oh my God. What state is it? Oh, California Department Public Health. They're going back to mask mandates. Oh, it's FTG. Anyway, once again, the states seeing the highest increase in stupid 19 hospitalizations are in the north, where the weather is cold and people are spending more time indoors. In the past 2 weeks, Connecticut, Delaware, Minnesota, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Washington, D.C. have seen large increases in stupid 19 hospitalizations. So, we had that thing about, well, this was a long time ago, like last year, I was saying there was a study at, I think it was the University of Missouri. Was it Missouri? Maryland. University of Maryland was having a study on whether or not there's a seasonal aspect to it. And it seems as though, like the surges in Florida, I don't know if it was the time of the year that people stay indoor more, but there's certainly a seasonal element to it by, people staying indoors, whatever. Hospitals here are empty and they refuse cancer. Yeah, hi, Bishop. They're so full of shit on this hospital utilization. Hospitals don't work if they're not a certain percentage full. And the fact that they've been laying off hospital workers is probably the bigger problem than necessarily capacity of the hospitals. But I'm just a guy who shouldn't know any better because I'm not in government. So anyway, moving on. Let's see. What's this? Oh, Kroger. This is one of those things that just drives you insane. For a disease that kills less than 0.1% of its people who get it, this particular supermarket chain is stripping unvaccinated employees of their benefits. And there's a lot of companies who are charging people who are not vaccinated more. Now, we haven't heard about that at UPS yet. Fingers crossed. Supermarket chain Kroger announced Tuesday that it would eliminate paid emergency leave for unvaccinated employees who contract stupid 19, in addition to requiring some of them to pay a monthly $50 health insurance surcharge starting in 2022, according to a company memo. $50 a month. Really? For something that 99.9 and some digits after that, people survive. Really? Amazing. The country's largest supermarket chain, which employs roughly 465,000 workers, issued an internal company memo announcing the changes, which will start on January 1st. A company spokesman told the Daily Caller News Foundation Kroger is tightening their stupid 19 related policies as U.S. businesses face uncertainty over President Joe Biden's recent federal vaccination mandates. You know, I think, is Kroger charging their fat employees $50 more a month? Because that could be a bigger factor in their survivability and hospitalization rates. Just saying. I suppose I would qualify either way. Anyway, you can read that the rest of you want. Janice Dean has been firing at the media ever since the Cuomo scandals started, even after her in-laws died in nursing homes because Chris Cuomo killed them. Or not Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo sent patients there to kill all the old people. So she's firing back at the media that blew off her crusade to expose Andrew Cuomo. Fox News host and meteorologist Janice Dean fired back at Monday at media and a reported plot to smear her due to focal criticism of former Democratic New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's nursing home scandal. Recent reports revealed that Cuomo, along with his brother Chris and top aide Melissa Rosa, attempted to discredit Dean as a right-wing commentator for criticizing Cuomo's handling of the stupid 19 pandemic. During an appearance on the Megyn Kelly show, host Megyn Kelly asked Dean for her reaction to the former CNN anchor's Chris Cuomo's text to DeRosa calling Dean a Fox News weather bitch and attempting to depict her as a far-right crazy. Dean said the alleged discrediting is the media's go-to because she is employed at, wait for it, Fox News. Instead of the main focus being a meteorologist who had a terrible atrocity happen with her family, Dean said, 2 family members close to her dying in New York nursing homes and are trying to find answers and accountability. It's always, but she works at Fox News, so she must have voted for Trump. Let's dive into her Twitter feed and all the articles that she's ever written to try to discredit her because she's probably a right-wing loony. I think to myself, Megan, what if I worked at another channel? What if I worked over at CNN and we found out that Tucker Carlson was trying to do research on me and trying to find out who I voted for? If you want to watch, you can watch the whole interview. I think it's about, it's about an hour long. I'm sorry, I have to take that off. But anyway, you can watch that, the article, and this video will be in the tab in the description down below at the end of the show, but I'm not going to go in there now. But yeah, Cuomo and them have tried to smear her, and who's having the last laugh now is Janice Dean. Good for her. All right, I'm kind of running out of time for articles, but Gavin Newsom makes a sad, laughable attempt to stop Omicron via mask mandate. You can go ahead and read that one yourself. What else did I open up here? Apparently 90% of the country, no one gives a flying fig. I guess that could have been a different word about stupid 19. That's according to a poll. Apparently, Matthew Walther, editor of The Lamp, a Catholic literary journal and contributing editor to the American Conservative, penned an article for the liberal Atlantic magazine stating that what should be a truism but is actually a shock to the liberal intelligentsia and opinion molders and makers on the coast. Nobody really gives a shit. Okay, he didn't say that. He says a rat's patootie about stupid 19. Quote, I don't know how to put this in a way that will not make me sound flippant. No one cares. Literally speaking, I know that isn't true because if it were true, the articles wouldn't be commissioned. But outside the world inhabited by the professional and managerial classes in a handful of major metropolitan areas, many, if not most Americans, are leading their lives as if stupid 19 is over, and they have been for a long while. And I can attest to that because I've been doing a lot of traveling this year, and most places I go that aren't Minneapolis or other cities like Minneapolis, nobody wears masks. Everyone walks around, just does their thing. A few people here and there. In fact, it's funny because you drive. For example, we made a 6-hour drive to Omaha this weekend, or this past 2 weekends actually. And every rest stop we stopped at didn't see a single mask. Now, granted, we're driving through southern Minnesota and Iowa and into Nebraska, but that's just, it's anecdotal, but not a single mask. When I went up north, when was it? Went up to the North Shore last fall. I almost never saw a mask except for in Duluth. It's the only place where I saw a mask. People walked in restaurants, out of restaurants, no one wearing masks. Anyway, this kind of documents how in most of the country that is not in the major cities, in liberal enclaves, nobody gives a shit. And should they? Maybe, maybe not. At least, are they taking care of themselves? Is stupid 19 a dangerous and, a dangerous thing that they should be beholding? Well, maybe, maybe not. But that article will also be the tab. By the way, if you're watching or listening on Spaces, you're listening to the Morning Night Live, my Monday through Friday YouTube live stream, where we go through news articles or talk about things that are happening in the world from my perspective, nobody else but mine, and whatever articles I pick out to read about. But thanks for being here, by the way. That let's see, it looks like Simius and Hail Lobster. That's Galactic North. Well, that's our friend Galactic North. So, who's awesome, watches on YouTube occasionally. All right. Just update on the tornadoes. There's an article here from the Daily Wire. Tornado damage may cost insurers up to $5 billion with a B as Americans rebuild their lives. Yeah, this was nasty. About 30 tornadoes were reported, right? Mostly through Arkansas. Well, it went through kind of the Tornado Alley, although it was a little bit farther east than I'm used to seeing Tornado Alley. I'm used to being in the Oklahomas, Kansas, Missouri, Mississippi, but Kentucky was devastated. And so over the weekend, at least 30 tornadoes were reported throughout Arkansas, Illinois, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, and Tennessee. The largest tornado that struck the region tore through over 200 miles of Kentucky. As of Tuesday, 74 people have been confirmed dead and more than 100 remain unaccounted for, which is not good. As the residents begin to rebuild their lives, insurance companies anticipate a hefty payout, Reuters reported. Catastrophe modeling firm Karen Clark and Company said it expects insured losses of about $3 billion from tornadoes that tore a 200-mile path through the 6 states in the U.S. Midwest and South, demolishing homes, leveling business, and setting off a scramble to find survivors beneath the rubble. Credit rating agency Fitch said insured losses could rise to $5 billion, rivaling the U.S. Midwest derecho, I don't know what that means, event in August last year, but less than the winter storm Uri and Hurricane Ida. Are they naming all of these things now? Both of which saw losses of $15 billion and $40 billion respectively. So not quite the, not hurricane level losses, but still, that's a lot. Really quick, thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite, who says, here we go. This is Black Hebrew Israelite saying this. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Who says, my last Tinder date, unmatched, after I told her I wasn't vaccinated for stupid 19. The Fauci juice is becoming the leading cause of heart disease in young boys. Oh, wait. Oh, I almost forgot.
That's right.
There we go. Just ask the English soccer team. Oh, what the hell did I do? What the hell was that?
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite, for sponsoring the show. Appreciate that. And the American Heart Association got not necessarily censored, but got one of those. Well, it was kind of censored. They said that this was a dangerous link, showing the American Heart Association study that the stupid 19 mRNA, is that how they're saying, mRNA? Fauci juices can cause heart problems. Interesting. That's one of the side effects, and especially in males age 16 to 40, but in particular, ages 16 to 24. But anyway, not good. Something that people might want to know if they have anything like that. Anyway, all right, let's finish up here. So the other articles, producer prices soar as supply bottlenecks persist. Great. You know, I'm just going to read the headlines without showing them. Also in the tabs today, Democrats declare war on big meat. Yeah, Jen Psaki was saying something about how meat prices are not the fault of inflation, but the greed of meat conglomerates. Their White House daily briefing. There it is, right there. This is, well, that's a town hall quoting Jen Psaki. Yeah. Here it is. Listen.
Go ahead.
There are several progressive groups and lawmakers who are increasingly vocalizing the idea that inflation, high inflation,
and this isn't even Peter Ducey asking this question. This is one of the people she likes asking the question.
Driven by corporate greed, including companies with high profits, some of whom have met at the White House with the president in recent months.
Oh, blaming corporate greed.
Does the president endorse that idea? Does he think that corporate greed is the big driver of inflation right now?
Well, I think that the president thinks the way people across the country, American families, digest inflation is by price increases. And if you look at industry to industry, it's a little different. So, for example, the president, the Secretary of Agriculture have both spoken to what we've seen as the greed of meat conglomerates. That is an area when people go to the grocery store and they're trying to buy a pound of meat, 2 pounds of meat, 10 pounds of meat. The prices are higher. That is, in his view, and the view of our Secretary of Agriculture, because of, you could call it corporate greed, sure. You could call it jacking up prices during a pandemic. There are other areas where we've seen increases because of supply chain issues, and we're seeing those increases around the world as it relates to gas prices, oil supply, and things along those lines. So I would say there's some areas where we have seen corporations profit from the pandemic, and certainly the president would agree with that component. I don't know the full context of all of their remarks.
So, now I just read, did I read the thing about the producer price index problem? I don't know if I read that yet. I probably didn't. But there's all sorts of inflation pressures all over the place. Oh, okay, I'll get back to that. I don't think I read that, did I? Anyway, there's a couple articles on Andrew Cuomo here you can check out. There's one about gerrymandered maps, and the last one here. Oh, let's do this from last. Real quick. Thank you, Thomas Cleaver. And Thomas Cleaver, guess what? Oops.
You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you for the 2669 with my favorite. Just because she's my favorite little alert there. Our friendly, what's her name from Australia to Austria? What do you call it? Hurdler. Oh, look at, she's so cute and doesn't, one of my friends really likes that girl, so I always like to play that one. Anyway, thank you. With the message sponsoring the show who says, kapow! Having a kind of kapow. By the way, hello, Thomas Cleaver, and also Cracked and everybody else. Okay, the last one we're going to do here is Biden has a problem. And it's not, is it just Biden or is it all Democrats? Anyway, this is interesting. And it came up, I think, partly because of the question of Latinx. Latinx. Okay, I don't know if it has anything to do with that, but apparently Biden and Democrats are losing their advantage with Latino voters. Last year, more than 60% told pollsters they would cast a ballot for the House Democratic contender, researchers found. This month, 37% said they would make the same choice, while the same percentage would back Republican. That's not good for the President Sundowner and the Democrats. Democrats have always enjoyed an advantage with Latino voters, but that may be changing. According to recent polling, Latinos are souring on Biden and Democrats just like everybody else. Well, because everybody's doing it, right? This could have a significant effect on the next two major elections in 2022 and 2024. Naomi Lim at the Washington Examiner reports Democrats are losing their edge with Hispanic voters, and prominent members of the minority community are sounding the alarm to President Joe Biden and their Capitol Hill colleagues before next year's midterm cycle. Democrats no longer have an advantage with Hispanic voters when they are asked whether they would support their local Democratic or Republican congressional candidate if the midterm elections were held today, according to the Wall Street Journal poll last week. Last year, more than 60% told pollsters they would cast a ballot for the House Democratic contender. Researchers found this month 37% said they would make the same choice, while the same percentage would back the Republican Party. Roughly 1 in 5 remain undecided. Republicans are undermining Democrats' stranglehold on the Hispanic vote as Biden's Justice Department sues states such as Georgia over its election integrity laws and Texas over its redistricting proposal, both of which argues discriminate against minorities, according to the Suffolk University Political Research Center Director Davis Paleologos. This is a key quote from a Republican strategist. Quote, Hispanics are horrified that the Democrats are implementing the same kind of socialism that many of them escaped from in their home countries. The report from the Hill notes that Republicans don't need to do much to tip the scales in their favor. The Republican Party has a way easier job than we do. They just need to strip 5% to 7% of our national vote, and they win, said Representative Ruben Galeo from Arizona, chairman of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, campaign arm Bold Pack. Republicans are latching on to the polling numbers and indications from 2020 that Hispanics, particularly voters in Texas and Florida, are increasingly responsive to a conservative economic message. Senator John Cornyn, Republican of Texas, called last week's Journal polling troubling for Democrats. Hispanic voters are splitting their support more evenly between the two parties, a new Wall Street Journal poll finds. That's an ominous sign for Democrats, he said Wednesday. Oh, and here's a clip from Virginia that should be the subject of nightmares. We'll finish with this clip, and then we got to get out of here. Here it is.
Yo creo que Biden me convirtió en republicano.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, hang on. I got to translate. Sorry. He says, I believe that Biden turned me into a Republican. This is a black Hispanic voter. Biden is destroying the economy. Inflation is through the roof.
Está por los cielos y
and everything is terrible. So,
yo creo que Biden me convirtió en republicano. Biden está destruyendo la economía.
Technology is your friend. All right. Well, that's interesting. That's pretty damn interesting, I got to tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to thank you for being here today. Is anyone in spaces still? I didn't really check. Hang on. Where'd my spaces go? There we go. So anyway, thank you guys for being here today. I appreciate you very much. The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. And thanks to our sponsors today, Gunfox 61, Cryptic, Black Hebrew Israelite, and Thomas Cleaver. Kapow! Very greatly appreciate you guys. And also for everyone participating in the chat, hit the like button before you go, share the stream before, during, after the show. And if you're watching a replay, put a comment in the comment section so I know you were here, and I'll say hi back to you, or at least give you one of those little heart thingies just to acknowledge you. But I always like to know who pops in when we're not live. So I really appreciate those of you who do that on a regular basis. That is great. And also, even if you watch the show, sometimes you're here live, sometimes you're not. Even just a hi or yes, I watched part of the show on replay. It's great. I appreciate that. And finally, you can sponsor the show in several ways. Those are down in the description down below. But that's all I have for today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today on the show. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thanks for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel.
If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.